Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's DBank Dave, and I help you reduce your reliance on centralized financial institutions by using cryptocurrency in creative ways. Now, one of the impediments to using cryptocurrency is that you might be in a country that has a particularly hard stance on cryptocurrency, and they've gone to centralized exchanges and basically banned them from use, preventing you from being able to buy the cryptocurrencies you want. Or perhaps they've gone out of their way and actually banned certain cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to give you some tools that you can use to get around these bans, which are fairly simple. So I'm going to give an example here. In the background here, I've got Monero. Monero is probably the most banned cryptocurrency in the world, owing to its ability to help users keep their transactions anonymous. And the way in which they would ban a crypto like Monero is countries would, I guess you could say they tightly control and regulate the exchanges that would carry such a token, right? So if I look at by volume, if I look at the top exchanges here, Gate.io, KuCoin, and MEXC, you can see here that although there is no technical ban on buying Monero in the USA, it is kind of de facto banned because you can't use KuCoin in the USA, you can't use MEXC in the USA. Here we go, United States, where is it? There we go, United States, Gate.io, it's also banned there as well. And as you can see, United States is up there with Cuba, Iran, North Korea. I mean, it's really crazy that citizens of the United States are treated in the same way that citizens of North Korea are. And there is no ban on Monero, but essentially there are certain regulations in place that make it so getting onto particular exchanges is almost impossible. So if you've come to this video, you are curious on how to get around this, but I just want to quickly go through a few more examples of banned exchanges because this applies a lot more, not just to Americans, but as you can see, the Philippines is set to prohibit Binance eventually. India is banning or already has banned Binance and a number of the top centralized exchanges, banned crypto trading platforms. I think this is for Canada. So CoinEx, KuCoin, Poloniex, Liquid Trade. Okay, what about India? Again, India bans foreign crypto platforms like Binance and KuCoin. Cambodia blocks access to 16 crypto exchange websites. It goes on and on and on. And, it's an absolute pain in the butt. And I think most people watching this video don't really care about the fact that North Koreans can't buy cryptocurrency. I don't think anyone really cares about that. But as you can see, I mean, ordinary countries like Canada, United States, Singapore, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and mainland China are up there with some of the most censured countries when it comes to crypto. And this is a real shame. And there's ways to get around this. So I remember I was at WebEx in Tokyo. It's a crypto convention of sorts. And I was introduced to some people talking about, they had a booth and they were talking about how you could get a digital residency in the country of Palau. And I might need to give a bit of a geography lesson about the country of Palau because it's so small and tiny that it's the kind of country you'd never even think about. And what's awesome about these tiny countries with populations of only a few thousand people is that, they can kind of just get away with stuff. They can slip under the radar. They don't have to follow really strict rules. And that's often why, you get these tax havens out in the Caribbean islands where you can buy a passport. Palau isn't in the Caribbean. Palau is in the Pacific Ocean. Its closest neighbor is the Philippines. It's very far away from other countries. In fact, I think to get to Palau, you have to go through the Philippines. There's maybe one flight a week and it costs like $5,000. It's not the most convenient country to go to. And the purpose of buying buying a digital residence there isn't necessarily so you can go there, although you're more than welcome to. There are definitely visa programs that allow you to stay there for like half a year if you get on this program. The point is that you become not a citizen, but you've got residence there. And then when you've got residence there, you're able to get an ID. So, you know what? Let me just refresh this because I wanted to show you something real quick. Will it pop up again? No? All right, let me just go through here. Do, 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 do. All right, where is it? RNS. Okay. All right, it's not showing the disclaimer, but yeah, basically, what you can do with the Palau ID is you can do I don't know what's going on with me. ID verification for check-in, boarding, rental, and how this relates to crypto is that you can use this to KYC. So the way that cryptocurrency exchanges prohibit users coming from certain countries is it goes like this, right? So you can't just use a VPN because even if you use a VPN, if you want to register on a particular platform, we'll just say you're from the US and you want to register on Binance, even if you use a VPN, when you sign up an account, you're going to have to do KYC protocols. KYC means know your customer, and that is going to, you're providing identification from your home country in order to prove who you are. And anyone that provides a USA identification is going to be flagged and they're not going to be allowed to join the platform. That's how they prevent people from joining up. And the sad thing is, even if you're American and you say live in another country, you know, you're living around the world, you don't necessarily go back to America. You've been living in, you know, you live in Japan, you live in Australia, you live all around the world. You won't be able to sign up still because you've got that American passport, that American ID, and that's going to prevent you forever until you get an alternative form of identification. And that's what where this Palau ID comes in handy. So if you go to rns.id, you can apply for a digital identity that is kind of used in lieu of, say, like a driver's license. You know, it's a national identity card that you can use. So when you go to sign up with Binance, you know, you upload a picture of your document, and, you know, maybe there's a point, I don't know if they still do this with Binance, but, you know, you hold up the ID next to your face so you can, you know, it can be proven that it's you. And that is all that's really necessary, because the platforms will, you know, in order to be able to deal in particular countries, like, you know, in order to be able to deal in particular countries, they have to follow the rules. And if they're told that they're not allowed to accept USA customers, then they're not going to accept them. But at the end of the day, the people that are responsible for onboarding customers, all they need to really do is just check for, you know, if they're from a banned country and whether XYZ person is who he says he is. So this person, Adams, John B., they need to prove that this person is actually who they are. And Palau, just like every other country, has a reputable system for identification. And as long as you can prove that you are who you are through your ID, then they'll let you on. And you're using an alternative to United States one. You're not doing anything illegal. It's completely fine. And you don't have to use this just for KYC. There are a number of good uses for this. For those that are a little more paranoid, like myself, if you could avoid using your ID, it would be better than not. I mean, I don't like that. I don't live in Australia anymore, but if I go back to Australia, you have to use your ID for everything. Every time you have to buy liquor, every time you have to go into a nightclub, a bar or venue. And then, you know, there was a lot more uses for it back during the COVID times. And I don't like that my ID is essentially my identification, and it's essentially being logged. I can't prove that. It sounds a little bit paranoid, but I wouldn't be surprised if every time I go into a bar, every time I go to a bottle shop, every time, you know, I get pulled over and, you know, have my license checked, that every time I'm being logged where I am. And I don't like that every time that I go to, you know, I show my license to someone. It's one thing if they know how old I am and what my name is, but it's another thing for them to know my, where I live, my exact address, you know. If I can minimize the amount of personal information that I give to other people, the better. And I understand there's going to be a limitation to that. I understand the need for KYC. I don't mind giving my name or my birth date to someone. I don't think that's that bad. But if I could keep it to the absolute bare minimum, the better. And another good reason for this, for instance, is if you are signing up for something online and you have to give identification. The most common form of identification that people use is their passport. So it's not uncommon for people to have a picture of their passport on their phone or on their device or on their laptop or their computer. Now, just a simple picture of your passport is worth so much money on the dark web. People trade this stuff and it's not even worth that much money, but it's so valuable. And the reason why it's not worth so much money is because everyone's got it on their computer and everyone's computer is always getting hacked. There's data leaks. And then when someone has access to a picture of your passport, there are so many things they can do with it. And that's probably, that information can probably be sold. Now, a Palau ID can do a lot, but it can't do that much. Like, I don't think this is enough to open up like a bank account in your home country. Like, I'm from Australia. If I walk in and I have an Australian accent and I'm saying, hey, I'm Dave from Palau, that's going to raise some eyebrows. They're going to ask for a more solid form of identification. So that is kind of a good thing. So if some hacker goes onto my computer and finds, a picture of this Palau ID, there's only so many things that he can do with it. He can't really do that much with it. And, oftentimes if you sign up to a crypto exchange, for instance, you're still going to have to hold the card next to your face. So he can't really do that much. If someone scams me and takes it and I want to sell it on the dark web, I'm sure they'll get something from it, but it's not the same as them having access to your driver's license, and most importantly, your passport. Your passport you can use for so many things. You don't want so many people knowing what your passport number is. And also on your passport page, they'll also know like where you were born, like the expiry date of the passport and when it was made. You really want to keep the information you give to other people to a minimum, and that's why I think getting a digital residence in Palau is a really good idea. It's $250 for a year. I think for 2 years it's $1,000, and then for like 10 years it's $2,000. So if you think about over the course of 10 years, how many new things you're going to have to sign up to? Of course, there's crypto-related things. You're always going to be signing up to the next crypto exchange, stuff like that. But how many times are you going to go into rent a car, rent a house? How many times are you going to go into a liquor store? How many times are you going to have to present your ID? And again, there's times you can't get around it. Like, as I mentioned, if you're going to go apply for a bank loan, open a bank account, do serious things with it, you couldn't use this at a government office, right? There's limitations to it, but you're going to be giving your ID so much, and so many people are going to have your information. It would be better if you just reduce the amount of information you give. So over the course of 10 years, think about how much you could possibly use something like this. There is so much utility in this, and that's why I think you should check it out. And if you want to get involved, you can use my referral link in the description down below, and you can check that out. And if you're interested in buying Monero, I think one of the best things that you can do is, let's just say you're in America, and you want to buy Monero, but you can't because, all these exchanges are banned in your country, and the next one that you can use, like HTX, has low liquidity, so you're going to get wrecked on the spread. What you should do is you should get the Palau ID, sign up with something like Gate.io, and then your transaction is going to be a little more anonymous than it would be than if you were to use your own personal American ID or your own personal one from your own country. So I think that's just a good way of adding just a layer of anonymity. If you want to go completely anonymous when it comes to purchasing Monero, you can check out some of my other videos on how to do that. My principal recommendation for stuff like this is using peer-to-peer trading exchanges like Bitpapa. It's like the last peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchange that you can use to buy Monero without giving KYC. You can use the referral link in the description below for that. And if you just want to buy something like USDT, ETH, Bitcoin without KYC, you can use other peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchanges that I recommend using my referral link in the description down below. You've got local CoinSwap and the HODL. They're very good for that. So make sure to check them out and check out my other videos on how to retain your anonymity while buying cryptocurrency. I think it'll be very valuable for you. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.